Hey, this is Shobit, founder of Intentional Product Manager, where I teach product managers how to get better at their job, how to move faster in their careers without driving themselves crazy. And today I'm here to talk about, now that you've been doing the purposeful presence practice, how do you amp it up? How do you take it to the next level, especially for situations that really matter? And I'm going to talk through 3 different ways in which you could do this. So here are the 3 ways you're going to amp up the practice when it really counts, when the situation is crucial. Number 1, music. Let's say I'm a bit tired, right? What is the music I should play that really helps me raise my level of energy? You might have your own music. I have my own Spotify playlist that have some sort of high energy music that really gets me going when I need to amp up the energy. And I often listen to it before meetings. Before, especially like continuous meetings, it really helps me to, between some meetings, go and listen to a piece of music that's really energizing for me and gets me going. So that's number 1. And you probably already knew that. But how often do you apply it strategically? I want to use this one terminology throughout the course. There's this one phrase, which is common sense is not always common practice. So often, we know that we can get amped up, maybe using music or through other means, but we just go from one meeting to another. We don't act intentionally. We don't really focus on our mindset and our presence before we go to the meeting. So I want you to not dismiss this thing as, oh, I already know that. That's so basic. Well, how often did you apply it? How often did you have a playlist ready to go to transition between meetings? Also, keep in mind, it's not always about amping up with music. You can also calm yourself down. So, for example, when I'm really trying to focus on something, I might begin by really amping myself up. But then when I sit down to work on my computer, I switch my Spotify playlist to something like music for concentration or classical music for reading. That helps me relax and focus intensely on the work at hand. So that was number 1, music. Number 2 was just the intention of focusing intensely. See, so often we do tasks sort of half-heartedly, without the passion and the real concentration to move things fast, to get those things done with excellence. I've noticed it in everything I do. I mean, just as an example, doing yoga, right? Meant to be a relaxing activity. But am I getting the most out of that 20-minute, 30-minute yoga routine? Am I, when I'm like doing stretches, am I truly stretching my body to its limits without hurting myself? When I'm doing exercise, am I really going as fast as I could in that exercise? Am I doing weights to the limit of my abilities? Those are questions you need to ask yourself. And now that doesn't just apply to exercise. That applies to your work in any situation. If you take the intention of being intense at whatever you do, and it might be intensely relaxing, that's okay, then things change. You can get work done faster. You can focus and notice things in meetings that you didn't have before. You could shoot better videos. I mean, I've certainly gotten better at shooting videos, even though I still suck. I'm still pretty bad at it. But it's so much better than when I started, where I was like, hi, this is Shobit, founder of Intentional Product Manager. I'm much more intense. I'm much more caring and focused now. And that's come from a place of applying the purposeful presence practice, but then adding intensity to it. Number 3, physicality. Probably one of the best teachers of physicality is Tony Robbins. And everything he does, you can see the presence, it's grand. Now there's so much to be learned from works of all these people who've learned about body language And I'll throw you, I'll add in some links to books that talk about body language. But just the act of sitting with an open stance, that is shown to increase your confidence, to give you much better presence. Do you ever do something like that? I mean, I've done this, and it's kind of embarrassing, but I certainly went into a place where I would not be disturbed. Maybe the conference room before the meeting started, or maybe into a restroom, and just stood like this, with my shoulders back, my back straight, and open arms, sort of like a Superman pose. But that helps so much in generating confidence and getting your preparation and your presence done for that next interaction, especially if it's something that you are maybe a little nervous about. That's one of the best things you can do before a high stakes meeting. And so to amp up purposeful presence, add in a certain element of body language. And you don't even need to make time for it. So that 1 minute that you were spending in doing the transition, still do that. Still close your eyes. Still think about those 3 words that signify how you want to show up. But add in the element of doing that with an open body stance. And that will, again, amplify this practice. Get you ready to bring your presence to the next level. And last, number 4, strategic breaks. There's so much almost pride that we put currently in today's day and age of being able to work nonstop, of pushing ourselves to our limits, or to just keep going when other people stopped. But let me tell you, there's no pride in pushing yourself beyond a certain point. If you are investing in self-development, you're probably already a high-performing product manager or a high-performing something, and you are now getting to the next level. And very often with such people, I have to tell them to just take it easy a little bit. Take breaks. Take time for yourself. Things really change when you take these breaks. And there's a lot you can do during these breaks and make them strategic so that you end up with energy. What I would not recommend doing is going and checking email. I mean, that's sort of the opposite of taking breaks. What you could do, have a nice relaxing lunch, maybe a quiet coffee with yourself. Maybe if talking with other people energizes you, go do that. Have a great conversation. Things that I love to do are, number 1, walk outdoors. Don't look at my phone, just walk and enjoy outdoors. And to be frank, in Boston, I only do that in the summer. In the winter, I don't do that. But when the weather's right, or if you're just the kind of person who likes to go out no matter what, just go do that. Second one is I breathe. I take time to just do some sort of breathing exercises or even some actual exercises. And there's a breathing exercises I do, which I'm not ready to teach because it is one of those things that I would recommend you should definitely check in with your physician before doing. It's called breath scaling. I'll add in a couple of links into this practice. But do keep in mind that this is something that I would recommend you definitely check out with your physician because it involves you breathing deeply, but then breathing really fast, like moving at a really fast cadence and then slowing it down. And at some point, this could make you dizzy. So be cautious when you're doing this. I've done it. I've like taught myself by watching videos, by being at a conference. And it's one of those energizers that's so amazing that I could take about a minute and I come back feeling like, wow, I'm just like so energized. I'm ready to go. And then last but not least, for me at least, journaling is something that really energizes me or really gets me in the right mood, the right presence for the next situation. And there's a few things, a few prompts that I use for my journal. And what I do is I think of the prompt and I journal for 1 minute. And I'm not allowed to stop writing. Totally not allowed to stop writing. And what if nothing's coming to your mind? Doesn't matter. Keep going. Write blah, 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 blah until something comes. And then when something comes related to that question, keep going and write those things out. And so what are the things, what are the prompts that I use? So my 3 favorite questions that I use are, number 1, I am grateful for, and then I write all the things I'm grateful for. Number 2, when I am at my best, I look like, or I do, and then I write a list of words and activities and actions that I take that come to me. And number 3, things that I'm looking forward to are, and then I look forward the rest of the day, a week, a year. I just write those down. If I have a vacation coming up, I'm going to write about that. If I'm excited about teaching a class for intentional product manager, I write about that. If I'm excited for just watching the next episode of something on Netflix or HBO or a cricket game, for example, I write that. Those are 4 things I use to amp up the practice of purposeful presence. Number 1, music. Number 2, doing everything with intensity. Number 3, physicality. And number 4, strategic breaks. I urge you, over the next 3 days, before the next lesson is open to you, amp up your practice. Do it more frequently. Write more in your workbook. Journal more about this. Use music. Use physicality in an open stance. Give yourself more breaks. Those will set you up for success as a product manager, as a leader, and also set you up for success in the next few lessons. This is Shobit, founder of Intentional Product Manager, where I teach product managers how to get better at their job without driving themselves crazy. And I can't wait to see you next time when we're going to talk about what is the most important skills as a product manager, which is consistent communications. How do you talk with others? How do you write? And how do you listen to them?